Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Total NASL Roundtable. I'm joined by Mike and Teo. How are you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Doing great, John. Thanks.
Yeah, so let's start talking about Tails Ottawa Fury. What's going on in Ottawa? I read a piece about Paul Dalglish and how he's taking the blame for everything that's going on in Ottawa.
hmm
So, what's the feeling down there about what's going on? I know you guys never had a home game yet. You're
That's it.
finally
Yeah.
having your home game, and Paul Dalglish finally feels like, well, if we can get our fans together and rooting on the lads, maybe
The
we can,
lads.
yeah, maybe we can get some points going in the spring season.
Listen, we had limited expectations going into the season. Anyone who was being realistic knew this. The players they brought in did not appear at first blush to be NASL caliber for the most part. Um, they didn't play much like strong opposition in the preseason, and then they had 4 straight road games to start the season. That, my friends, is an uphill battle. All of those things together, and you've got what you got.
Hmm.
So there's one draw out of 4 matches. Thank you, Indy. And thought I'd get that one in there. And now they come home. Big homecoming. The season hasn't felt real yet to a lot of people. A lot of people in Ottawa, there's a lot going on. They're not aware that the Fury season has started even. But now it's real. Now results are going to really matter. Because now they're playing at home almost all the time in the spring season, considering they've played four out of the 5 road matches they need to play in the spring season. So here's a chance to show what they've got. The article that you quoted, well, first it was an interview on TSN 1200 local radio here, and then some pieces came out, one by Stuart McTaggart at the midfielder press, and yeah, Paul Dalglish took it upon himself. He took the blame on his shoulders, saying stuff like he needed to learn the league, that he needed to start to listening to players some more, um, and that's a good thing. It shows that the manager is willing to identify or at least take the blame himself, even if it's not him, even if it's the players that are playing at subpar level. It's a good thing to take on that blame and take the pressure off the players. So everybody's looking forward to finally seeing Ottawa live in person. This team that we've only seen on television, really, and read reports about. So yeah, I'm going to training tomorrow morning. We're gonna go check that out, and yeah, I'll have my preview up during the day, and it's a match weekend, and man, it's like we're waking from a dream, a nightmare probably. But we get to go to the stadium on Saturday. Like, imagine if you guys, like, just try to wrap your head around the fact that you wouldn't have been able to go to the stadium yet to watch your team. That's how long, like, we haven't. Like, it's
Yeah.
it's 4 games into the season. It's 4 weeks. Like, it's almost surreal.
Yeah, and are you still feeling like Black Tuesday in your head as well?
Yeah, well, yeah, that icky feeling of all those players leaving during the off season is not going to wash off easily. Um, we are not stupid. We had a team that was good enough to go to the final of the NASL championship. Then they dismantled the team. No matter which way you look at it, no matter what the reasons were, economic, personality conflicts, promises not kept, whatever it was, that happened. And now we have a group that we have to learn to love in their own way. There might not be a championship team. We don't know. People are telling them, like, the glass half full people are saying, well, we started off last season really slowly too, and once we got going, we got on a run and made it all the way to the final. Awesome. Positivity is important in life.
Yeah, Taylor, we'll get to your preview for this weekend shortly in the video. But Michael, let's talk about your Indy 11 coming off a bye week. Are you guys pumped? You beat my Cosmos, and you're going to face the really hot. Well, they just won their first match, Rayo OKC.
Well, it's interesting you say that. If we're still pumped after beating the Cosmos, it seems like, honestly, it seems like it's been over a month since Indy 11 has actually played a soccer game, just because it's been over almost 2 weeks now. So the bottom line here is the Indy 11 has started the same season this year as they did last year. 2 draws, and then last year they went on the road and beat the Scorpions in San Antonio, only to come home, had a lead the entire game against the Railhawks, and then got sucker punched there at the end with a goal, and then that started a 4-game losing streak. So this year, 2 draws in their first 2 games, a big win against the New York Cosmos, a historic win. Uh, Bottom line is this: they just have to win. Indy 11 just has to win. No matter what they do, no matter how pretty or how ugly it is, they just have to win in order to keep that momentum going forward, and in order to compete at the top half of the table. That's what they have to do. Will the crowd be a factor? I'm sure, but Indy 11 is used to playing in front of big crowds, especially at Michael A. Carroll Stadium, so I don't think that'll be a factor. They're used to playing on turf, so that's not going to be an issue. So no matter what happens on Saturday night in Oklahoma City, they just have to figure out a way to win. The Achilles heel for Indy 11 so far this year is creating opportunities in the first half. They only have 1 shot on goal in their first 3 games in the first half, and that was Dylan Mares has had the only shot on goal, and that was against the New York Cosmos in their last match. So if they want to win and if they want to compete in that top half of the table, they have to score early, and they have to score in the first half. They cannot wait until the dying minutes of a game to either tie the game up, as they did against Ottawa in the 89th minute, or against the Cosmos in the 89th minute, or in extra time. They just can't. They can't do that. So that's what I'm looking for Indy 11 this weekend. Players to watch out for, I think, I think you pronounce it Michael for Rayo OKC. He plays on the left wing. It'll be interesting to see how Nemanja Vukovic and Duke Lacroix handle him defensively, because he has been a spark for them, for Rayo OKC, and has had 2 big goals for them. I know one has come from a PK spot, but he's still able to create a lot of chances on that left flank. So that'll be interesting to see how they handle him, and it'll be also interesting to see how they handle Boateng in the middle for Rayo.
And Mike, can you give us a score prediction?
I'll say 2-1 Indy 11.
Okay, Teo?
Score prediction, well, everything Michael said is sort of resonating and bouncing around my head right now. But I've got Rayo OKC taking this one 3-1.
And let me just say this, that although Indy 11 beat the New York Cosmos and it was a big win and a must-win, I think this game is even bigger, and this game is a must-win, and it's a bigger game for Indy 11 compared to the New York Cosmos game, because they have to keep that momentum going forward.
And I'm going to go with a Rayo OKC 2-0 victory. I don't feel Indy 11 are going to get up for this match, or they are going to get up for this match, but Rayo OKC at home, Porter is going to be hyped for this one. He's going to be all over the place and hoping he beats Michael's Indy 11. And Tim Hickinson as well, he is going to be excited for this one, because after the match against the Cosmos, he just wanted to go forward, and I think he wanted to play this match a bit earlier, but he has a bye. So, so they just need to calm down their hype, as he said. So let's move on. Fort Lauderdale against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Another Coastal Cup match. Florida clubs are really enjoying their time so far this season. So I'm going to go for the Rowdies winning this one by 2-1. Teo?
Yeah, I've got the Rowdies winning as well, 3-1 as well.
Michael?
I'll go Rowdies 3-0. Even though the Strikers did pick up a new signing here lately, they're still struggling. So until they start getting going, I'm still gonna start, going not in their direction. I'll still predict losses for them.
And lastly, maybe one of the marquee matchups of the weekend, not because the Cosmos are involved, but because the league-leading Carolina Railhawks are playing the iconic New York Cosmos at Hofstra Short Stadium. I just thought I needed to get that in there, Teo. So, what are your thoughts and your score predictions for this matchup?
Iconic, yeah. Did you hear the NASL nightcap? I kind of went after your team.
Oh no, I should listen and then leave a review, probably, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for me, this is the game of the week. Obviously, the reigning champs against the upstarts, the 4-0 Carolina Railhawks, and let's see if the Railhawks can keep this going. On Tuesday NASL Nightcap with Keaton Robbins in our news segment, we talked about this match at length, and he and I both agreed. I think we agreed that it was going to be a draw, and I'm going to predict a 2-2 draw.
And Michael?
I know a lot of people last week didn't think that the Cosmos would lay down and they'd come out and they'd give a fight and they were going to walk away from Minnesota with a big win. But I picked I picked Minnesota to win that game, and I will pick Carolina to win this game as well. They're the hottest team in the league. Might as well roll with it. Railhawks 1, Cosmos 0.
Yeah, and as always, I'm going to go with a very bold score prediction and go with a nice 2-0 Cosmos victory. We're playing at home, guys. We're undefeated at home so far this season. They have the 5 points on their side. And also, the new Under Armour kits are going to be available this Sunday. So what a great Sunday night that's going to be.
Yeah, it's a good matchup, and I'm looking forward to watching it.
And Teo, how would you be watching this matchup?
One World Sports.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. Yeah. So I thought I would just throw some questions at you, like sort of have a discussion, because I was watching this video on Fox Soccer, right? And they were talking about Pro-Rel, right? But I don't want to have that usual Pro-Rel conversation. But they were saying that they thought that MLS was going to be the only league that would sort of institute Pro-Rel, that USSF were not going to come up and say, well, we need to have Pro-Rel eventually. You know what I mean? They were saying that it would only work within MLS, and they would create MLS 2. I would like to get your thoughts on that one. And also, they sort of said that they feel bad for the NASL because we would not be a part of it, sort of like leaving us out, even though we're sort of competing with the MLS at the moment.
No, go ahead, Mike.
I have yet to watch that video, but my initial reaction is that I don't see the MLS starting any sort of pro relegation, considering how much money they've invested league-wide, how much the owners have invested into their teams, into their clubs. I don't see Major League Soccer doing any of that, especially given the fact that there's other things that have to play a factor into it. Corporate law. There's the lawsuits still going on with the NASL. I don't see MLS creating that anytime soon.
And Teo?
Yeah. Well, the NASL seems to be expanding at a rate that doesn't suggest that they have any intention of slowing down. And if you're going to go, a lot of people think they're going to go to 32 teams before they stop. Other people think they won't even stop there, they'll go to 40. And what a bloated league that would be, even at 32 teams. There's no league in the world that has 32 teams. But the challenge, and we've talked about this numerous times, and it's not an original idea, it's just something that it's a reality of MLS, is that these are franchises. and the franchise fees are under the understanding that you get to play in a closed league at the top of the pyramid. Now, unless there's some sort of confidentiality agreement that all of these expansion teams have signed when they give their $100 million to MLS, unless there's some sort of secret clause in there that nobody knows about except those who have signed it, that eventually they're going to pro relegation and they'll just have to deal with it, and I don't believe that's the case, just so we're clear, I don't see MLS having pro rel, not without its hand being forced. And the only way that that happens is that the NASL gets so strong that it gets backing from these crazy sheiks or some sort of billionaire backers that come in and say, we're going to take this league to the top, we're going to spend a boatload of money to get the best players in the world, and to really go head-to-head with MLS to the point where MLS is relegated, to use the term, to second tier in the view of people. And I'm talking about like years down the road here. This is not going to happen immediately. It's the only way I see MLS going, oh, I guess we'll join the Pro-Rel NASL. It's the only way I see it happening. I don't see any other way. It's going to have to be from the NASL and other leagues, or not at all, as far as I'm concerned.
And
Well,
piggyback off that, the relationship between U.S. Soccer and MLS and some, I don't see U.S. Soccer Federation coming out and saying that either. If FIFA comes out and says it, I think a lot of people here in the United States may laugh just because, well, we indicted you on all these charges and all these corruption charges, and now you want to, mess with our leagues or whatever. It's not going to happen. So I could see a pushback on that as well. But yeah, I agree 100% with Teo. With that being said, I gotta leave, so I will see you guys later.
okay.
Thanks for coming, Mike.
Teo, you were saying that you don't see MLS going to 40 teams, right? But
Oh, I think they could go to 40 teams.
yeah, but I think the only way they will go to 40 teams, and I would not want to see like East and West, you know what I mean, have 40 teams in MLS 1, if you will, right? I think the only way we see 40 teams is if they have MLS 2. You know what I mean? And you can really expand on there because there's so many markets out there, and I think that's where the NASL comes in. It's like, well, if MLS is not going to that city, let's get them in our league, like we see with Detroit City. Hopefully they come into NASL, not MLS. You don't want MLS, guys. You want the North American Soccer League, the best league in North America. Not the world, but in North America. So let's take it back to our league, the best league, as I said. Let's talk about the Fort Lauderdale Strikers. And they drew 1,000 something to their crowd. I don't know exact. But Teo, what are your thoughts on that situation down there in Fort Lauderdale?
It's dire. They have new owners that came in, a year and a half ago, who were supposed to be these Brazilian media tycoons who knew what they were doing, and they may. I'm not going to be judging them from my seat. But whatever they're doing isn't working. And you have to wonder, Fort Lauderdale is practically in Miami. And Miami FC drew well in its first home match. It didn't draw so well this past weekend, but it's an outlier. We can't really consider it because of that.
But it was bad weather as well.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, because it was bad weather. The match was delayed by a lot. People aren't going to come out in a typhoon to watch a soccer match. So Miami was able to draw, and again, we haven't seen a real picture of what Miami FC can do because it was their home opener at that 10,000 crowd, and they had all kinds of special events surrounding that. So again, we can't make a judgment yet on what Miami FC is and how they're going to draw going with a large number of games to evaluate on that. Now, Fort Lauderdale, we can evaluate because they've been like this forever now, and it's just not building up any steam, any momentum. And I fear for this franchise, man. Like, I don't know if they can continue with the attendance that they're having. Now, like I said, the owners are rich. Their play might simply be a media thing to be able to sell NASL matches in Brazil on TV. It's possible. But you have to think that at some point, attendance matters. And that if you don't draw, that a franchise has to be in trouble. Again, Kartik, who's been on the show before and he's on the network here, he disagrees, I think. I've seen him say a few times that attendance figures are not a picture of health or a snapshot of health of a franchise. And I'd like to see him talk more about that because I'm curious about why he says that and the rationale. And I'm genuinely curious. That I'd like some insight on that if he has some, which he must. So, yeah, that's my take on Fort Lauderdale is it's in trouble, but it might not be because of the money involved. But at some point, something has to give.
I mean, going into the season, the club looked very exciting. They had like a brand new kit sponsor. I think they had a kit sponsor for the first time. So it was like, whoa, they're actually bringing some new sponsors in. Ronaldo as an owner. Well, that's
sure, that's
big. You know what I mean? He owns the
club. It should be big. Yeah. But it's not attracting anyone. And Ronaldo, it's not like I've seen him at many Fort Lauderdale Strikers games, right? It's not like fans get a chance to meet Ronaldo when they go to the stadium.
Imagine if you like buy like a ticket before you go, like, okay, pay $5 and you get like a VIP area to see Ronaldo. You know what I mean?
That'd be great. They should really bank on every opportunity they have with Ronaldo as one of their owners, their minority owner. But I mean, it might just be an investment for him or doing it as a favor to a friend from Brazil, or we don't know what the circumstances are behind him being an owner in NASL. And he just doesn't appear to be spending much time in South Florida from what I can see. I mean, again, I'm not an insider on Fort Lauderdale. So that's my take on that.
But moving on with Fort Lauderdale, and hopefully they draw a bit well for their next matches. Best of luck, Fort Lauderdale. But let's talk about the Cosmos, okay?
Sure.
There has been so much stadium, not news, but some rumors.
Yep.
At Newsday have reported that there was a dozen people protesting the Cosmos Stadium proposal. So, me personally, there's so much going on in my head Cosmos-wise. You think about the greatness on the field sometimes. Then you think about the future, and you really hope it's bright. But the Cosmos' future is based on a stadium. If we don't get a stadium, I don't know where we are.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, so a dozen people don't want us to build a stadium, basically.
Right.
And from what I've heard, the Cosmos, they just feel really optimistic, and they put a lot of resources, a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of energy into this proposal, and a lot of people are saying, why don't you guys leave? It's been so long. It's been years, guys. It's been years waiting to get an answer. And they don't care if it's yes or no, but we just want that answer.
Yeah.
So Eric Stover says that he does have a plan B and a plan C. And you hope that those plans, if we do get a no, are a bit quicker, because I saw on Facebook some guy was like, oh, no, maybe if this stadium proposal doesn't go through, then another stadium is going to take 5 more years. Imagine playing at Hofstra for 5 more years. That's crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then you would have to think about going somewhere else, maybe going to MCU Park maybe, on a short-term basis, that really felt like a professional home in a way, but for the short term. So, Teo, I know you're on the outside looking in, but from what you can grab on the media side, what are your thoughts on the Cosmos? Let's say a situation as well.
Well, first off, let me say that 12 people protesting this is the most predictable thing that can ever happen when people want to build a stadium. The NIMBY crowd, not in my backyard crowd, are always going to come out. That happened in Ottawa. And they were strong, John. Like, they were organized. That neighborhood did not want a stadium. We got a stadium.
And it's one of the best stadiums in the league. I've never been there before, but it's one of the best stadiums.
It is. As far as what people have told me from the league, it is one of the best stadiums in the league. So there's always San Francisco, right? They wanted to play at that stadium, Kazaa Stadium, I think is what it's called. And they had people who were against it, and they had to have council meetings. They got their stadium. So I don't think you should worry as Cosmos fans too much, because people in New York understand what a stadium does. The positives, the negatives. And it's not 12 people with protest signs that are going to stop millionaires and billionaires from building a stadium. If the politicians and the money agree, that stadium's going to happen. So I wouldn't be too worried about these NIMBYs. I'm not very polite to these people because I don't. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of don't build a stadium in my neighborhood because, dude, it's awesome.
And with this proposal, it's not just a stadium. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't like soccer, you don't have to like the sport. You know what I mean? The Cosmos are building stores, restaurants, hotels. It's bringing jobs. It's bringing money to the area, and they're paying it all on their own. $400 million with no taxpayer money.
That's it, yeah.
You try to explain that to people, and I was even talking to people on the podcast as well, and I just couldn't understand how people don't accept that in a second. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what you're dealing with is not rational. Is not rational thought. It's not logical. It's feeling, right? I don't want this, so I'm going to oppose it. And in every neighborhood, there's these people. Whether you want to build a freaking playground or a community center or a stadium, there's people who do not want change in their neighborhood. So these are the people you're dealing with right now. If there were 12 of them, awesome, because there weren't 200 of them.
So that must mean
12 people. How many people in New York? 10 million now? Forget it.
I would say about that, yeah.
Yeah, forget it. 12 people are not going to make a dent in any of your plans to build at Belmont. Politicians with ulterior motives are what you need to worry about.
So I would say that the Cosmos are on the right track, hopefully,
yes,
to success.
Absolutely.
Only 12 people out there protesting. That's a great sign, guys. A great sign.
Yes.
But like you said, I don't think we're scared about the protesters, or we don't fear them. I think that once we saw the protesters and we saw like the newspaper were covering that aspect of it, I think we sort of realized like what's our future at the moment. You know what I mean? If we don't get a stadium, we sort of like realize like, oh my God, this is not that bright at the moment.
And another thing that I found really interesting, I was reading in Empire of Soccer yesterday or today, and they were saying that there's a law in New York or Belmont or Elmont, I think is the neighborhood. There's a law somewhere on the books that is preventing the New York Cosmos from organizing support for this deal. That if they organize support, it's immediately null and void. They won't get a stadium. Which I found weird, because if like that's part of the game. Like if these guys, these NIMBYs don't want a stadium and they're allowed to organize, why wouldn't the team that wants? Anyways, it might have to do with a balance of power and money and democracy and all that. But yeah, I just thought that was strange. So it's up to Cosmos fans, I think, in that case, to organize themselves. They're allowed to do that.
Yeah, and for sure, we are organizing at the match this Sunday. The 5 Points are going to have a petition for every single supporter to sign, and they want to have as much signatures as possible as they can get. So if you're going to be at Hofstra Short Stadium, anyone who's watching this, make it out to the 5 Points tailgate or just see me. Like, I'll find you a way to sign on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
So Governor Cuomo could see your signature and see that you want a stadium because New York is green.
Yeah. Do you know if they're throwing that petition online?
I am not sure. I will contact the 5 Points if you are interested, because I think a lot more people throughout the NASL would like to sign it as well, right?
Of course. Yes.
Yeah, so I think online and also in person is cool as well. So, Teo, any last words about what's going on throughout the league so far this week, or anything that you want to add to the show?
Well, we haven't talked about the Fury match coming up.
Oh, my apologies, Teo.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So, like I said, well, we've touched on the Fury and the fact that it's going to be their first home game of the season, and they're playing Miami FC.
Ooh.
Yeah. So we get to see the new kids on the block. We get to see Nesta on the sidelines. I hope I get to interview him. That would be cool. He's a legend, one of the best defenders of all time, and World Cup winner. So that's a cool guy to have in your stadium on the sidelines, patrolling the sidelines. So on the field, we have a team that Miami that is gotten off to a so-so start. They have a hot player, Svitanic, who's got 3 goals. They've got Ariel Martinez, who's been lights out, really, really good, Cuban international playing for Miami FC. And we've got this ragtag bunch of Fury players trying to find their identity, trying to find their chemistry, and with a home crowd behind them finally. And it's apparently going to be a good crowd, is what I'm hearing. And everybody's looking forward to it because, like I said earlier, we haven't seen them yet. And it's been a long time since November to see your team live. And if we were to do score predictions, I'm going to say that the Fury will win this weekend. They will take it 2-1 against the Miami FC.
That's very bold, Teo. You're being very, very bold with your predictions this week.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna jump on the Teo bandwagon as well, or not as bandwagon, but I'm gonna hop on. I really think Paul Dalglish got me right there. He got me in his interview. He said that the supporters are gonna help the guys, and the guys are have the game in front of them. You know what I mean? I really think Fury 2-0 victory against Miami, first win, and you guys have to be pumped. You guys are not traveling at, as he said, 12 hours. You're right in your backyard. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's gonna be a great matchup, and it's on Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. You guys should watch that match. Everyone should be tuning into ESPN3. Everyone.
Yeah, it won't have any competition on Saturday afternoon. So tune in. The NSL puts their matches onto ESPN3. Watch it. It's free. Do it. And
Cosmos, I personally think we're going to win. Just talking about the matchup before we close out the show, I don't know. 2 heartbreaking losses. One to Indy. One I witnessed with my own eyes, and it really hurt. It really hurt. And then the second one, it was in stoppage time against the ever so lovely Minnesota United. And Christian Ramirez just put a second sword through my heart again. Thank you, Christian Ramirez, if you're watching this. But then we play against the league-leading Carolina Railhawks. Jason is so hyped, and I can't believe they're top of the table. That shocked me. If there's one team that shocks you, Teo, it has to be the Railhawks, no?
Well, shock is a strong word for it. I'm surprised, but hindsight being 2020, you kind of look at it and you go, yeah, we could have seen this coming, because this is a team that has kept most of its players, that the core of that team returned. from last year. They were playing well towards the end of last season. They almost made the playoffs. They've now got an owner who believes in the team. It's traffic's gone, and Stephen Malik is there now, and he's putting money where his mouth is, and he's really trying to build something here, not just on the field but off the field as well. And they went out and got, we shouldn't forget this, they went out and got James Marcelin, who is playing at Fort Lauderdale, I believe, and he was a NASL 2015 Best 11 player. So he was like one of the best players in the league last year. Carolina got him in a trade for Neil Hlavadi. I have trouble with that name, as most people do. In the offseason, nobody talked about it. And I've watched about 3 Railhawks matches this year, and he's been amazing. He's been a really, really good player. And so far, for 2 of the 4 matches, or maybe 3 of the 4 matches, he's been playing at center back, which isn't his natural position, but they had so many suspensions and injuries at that position that he had to fill in. He's just been lights out. If you watch the Cosmos match, if you're out there and you're watching it Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening, check out James Marcelin. He is the real deal. And a Haitian international, really good. So that's my take on the Railhawks. I'm surprised, but we should have seen it coming.
So my apologies to the Carolina Railhawks. We should have seen this coming. Teo just laid it all out there. We shouldn't be shocked, guys. We just shouldn't be, because the Railhawks, surprisingly, to me personally, are the real deal. Maybe they go on to win the spring season, and they are in the championship.
Yeah, it's a sprint, and I mean, you can't do better than getting 12 points out of the first 4 games. So they're already ahead of the Loons. They're already ahead of the Cosmos by a lot, and now they've just got to keep their heads on straight and keep going. 6 matches left. There's still a bunch of matches, a bunch of points out there on the table to get. But based on the evidence, they're well on their way to doing that.
Do you think the Cosmos can turn it around at home? Because we saw in the first 2 matches against the Fury, against the Armada, and I know that was really early on facing those clubs, but we played our hardest, 1, and 2, chemistry was sort of lacking in a way in preseason. We saw against San Jose we lost, and it wasn't a shaky preseason, but we weren't playing the best game. Like, a lot of tactics were being worked out, and they're still being worked out at the moment. Gio's just throwing around different formations each match just to see what works. So
yeah,
against the Railhawks, yeah, Tail?
Yeah, they're still trying to find their way. I think Gio Savarese is trying to figure out what he has. You have the players. There's no doubt about that. The Cosmos have the players to be a powerhouse, of course. But we should take a look at your opponents in the first 4 games. You played Ottawa, bottom of the table. You played Jacksonville, who I don't think are very strong. You played Indy, who I don't think are very strong. And you lost to Indy. And you played Minnesota, very strong team. So you lost to a very strong team. You had a loss against a not very good team, and you dominated against 2 bad teams so far. So it points in the direction of a team that's not quite there yet, and they might need the spring season to work that out. And I think that's what's going to happen. I don't think the Cosmos are in it right now for the spring season. I don't think they're going to win the spring championship, but as always with the Cosmos, look out in the second half.
And you said we probably just need some more time, the fall season, of course.
Yeah.
Do you think we need one more piece to this club? And I think you know where I'm going with that one.
I think I do. Yeah, I think so. I think what's your striker's name? Jamie
Haro Arrieta.
Haro Arrieta. Yes, sorry. Probably not the top star billing that the Cosmos want as their top goal scorer. He's good. There's no doubt. He's a good player.
But he hasn't scored a goal yet. So.
But is he Francesco Totti? Is he Miroslav Klose? Well, no, of course not.
Well,
And
he's going to the Red Bulls at the moment, I think.
We'll see about that.
Okay.
It's a silly season in the sense that people can say anything at this point and it'll stick. And we're winding down the European season, and the agents are putting stuff out to get interest in their players. So don't be fooled too much by the rumors. But I do believe, to answer your question, that Cosmos need another piece.
But do you believe that to be Totti? Because there has been a lot of a lot of media outlets confirming and saying that he's coming to the Cosmos. Eventually, sometime he's coming to the Cosmos. Even Fox Soccer came out and sort of said he's not going to Leicester City, guys. He's going to the New York Cosmos. For what reason? You know what I mean? Like, why would he reject the biggest league in the world to come to the NASL? I would love for him to come to the Cosmos. Don't get me wrong, but is he really?
I just don't buy it, John. I think it's, like I said, I think it's Totti's agent leveraging for a new contract at Roma. Totti's not moving from Roma. Come on. He spent his entire career at Roma. He's going to go spend the last year of his career at New York Cosmos at Hofstra? Come on, guys. Let's get serious here.
Well, you can go play at the Stadio Olimpico, or you can play at Hofstra. Pick your choice. I think Hofstra is a better stadium. No.
Okay.
I'm joking. But that one piece you think the Cosmos are missing, like, what position and who should they get?
I think it's a striker. I think they need a better striker. But again, I say that, but they have the pieces to at least put a challenge forth going forward in the fall season. I truly believe that. Any team with Nico Kranjčar and Juan Arango and Guenzari and Ayoze and Mendez, come on. This is one of the strongest team in the league. And they just aren't clicking right now. That's all that's happening.
And also to note, Lucky is on the bench as well.
Yeah.
Star last season.
Yeah.
This year, he's just on the bench at the moment.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he hasn't seen much more time. But who knows? We aren't privy to training and to see how he's performing. When we haven't seen him on the field much. He's come in for a couple of substitute appearances. He might not be 100%. We just don't know. So we can't make too many conclusions after only 4 games.
And lastly, Yasmani Duke as well is on the bench for the New York Cosmos. So a Bolivian international, great player on the international stage from what we saw from him, because he's never played a minute for the Cosmos yet. Or no, he has. My apologies. Against Minnesota United, he came on as a sub. But yeah, hopefully up top he changes some stuff up, because we need this victory against the Railhawks. It just has to happen. If not, I lose all my faith in the spring season.
Definitely. I wish you well, John.
Thanks. We got like all of Cosmos Country. We really need it. Thanks, Theo. So any last words to our total NASL faithful?
No, just check out the website, totalnasl.com. We've got a lot of reviews, previews that go up every week. And we write for the love of the game, so we write for you guys. So go check it out. For myself, NASL Nightcap, it's a podcast that I do every week on Tuesdays with Kevin Keaton-Robbins on the news, and Kevin Laramie of the Two Solitudes, who you might know, produces the show on the Sports Podcasting Network. That's my plugs for my stuff. And thanks for having me on again on the Roundtable.
It's my pleasure, Teo, and best of luck to the Ottawa Fury. I hope you guys get a win, because I love Ottawa. But waiting for the Cosmos, hopefully you guys get beat. My apologies. Okay, you can follow us on Twitter at Total NASL, and check us out, like Teo said, TotalNASL.com. One of the best websites out there. It surely is, because I designed it. That's why. Okay, so peace out, everyone, and we will see you guys next week.